we don't deserve to lose that, bro. You know what? I'm proud. Stand up, I'm proud. Stand up and be proud. Stand up and be proud. Be proud of this team. Be proud. Stand up and be proud. Stand up and be damn well proud. Clap the boys. Clap them.
Hey guys, and welcome back to the Gold Coast Cheaters podcast. This is a podcast that we talk about, obviously, the cheaters that we are here on the Gold Coast. Yes, obviously Ricky Stuart had some nice little things for us to say to us after the weekend, so I thought I'd open up the podcast in a little bit of a different fashion. But no, obviously, hey guys, we are back here for the Gold Coast Titans Frontline Podcast this week, and I'm excited to talk about it, to be fair. Obviously, it's been a pretty big weekend, pretty controversial weekend, very close weekend, but a very positive weekend in that sense as well. If you don't know what the Gold Coast Titans Frontline Podcast is, basically we go through all things that are the men's on the Gold Coast Titans, the women's. We've also got the HostPlus Cup, which is the Ipswich Jets, and also our Tweed head Seagulls. And I can't wait for the rest of the season to come along with the women's to come later on in the year. So, yeah, it is a podcast. We try to keep as positive as possible. We are realistic. We are going to tell you our true, genuine thoughts. But we will also try and pick your spirits back up because it is a very difficult club to support. I'm not going to lie. I think we all know that. You know, we have to pick ourselves up each and every week to go again. And right now, that's exactly what we're doing, despite the fact that we did have a positive loss. But my name is Blaze. I'm from BKRsport, and I'm always joined by Dane from Clarkey's Rugby League column. Mate, we were down in your neck of the woods this week in Canberra. What were your thoughts, and how do you go?
Oh, mate, a brilliant weekend. Like, obviously, we would have loved to win. Everyone knows that. But I think if you take the result out of it and just look at the 80 minutes of the on-field performance, you probably couldn't have asked too much more from the boys. So I was really pleased from that aspect. And then the other aspect that we always harp on this podcast is the community element to it. Hanging out with like-minded Titans fans before or after the game. Always a bunch of fun, man. We had a great time all weekend. Met some new people from the front line. So overall, man, a brilliant weekend. Would have loved to win, but you can't have everything in this world, right?
I will say, though, like, how good was that away bay? Like, out of all the years that I've been doing what I do, and out of all the games that I get to, for people who don't know, I was at every single game last year. I've been at every single game this year. I was at, I think, 20 of the 24 in 2000, and it would have been 23. Adding the Dolphins, but whatever it was, yeah. I was at 20 of those games in 2022, and I've obviously been around this club very, very actively for 15 odd years now. And that was the best away bay that I've ever experienced by far. We absolutely out-chanted the Raiders crowd. We had Raiders fans saying how good we were. We had people saying they could hear us really clearly on the telecast. We got on there quite a few times. Apparently, I was caught swearing on the Fox coverage. Apparently, someone said that I was. It was probably me trying to fire the boys up, you know what I'm saying? I think that's what probably would have been caught there. But no, we had a great crowd there, man, and it was really, really good to see that, you know, people say we don't have any fans. Well, we just out-chanted Canberra, so you're saying they don't have fans?
Well, that was my biggest takeaway from it was, well, two takeaways, actually, if I could. The first was it was only a select few people or maybe an individual that was saying negative things about our team during the game and criticising players in a completely non-constructive way and just being rude. And I liked that, you know, the front line was kind of like, hey, we don't treat our community and our club and our players like that. That's not on. We support our players. And the other thing that I really liked was, you know, after the 80 minutes, we had every right to sit there and drop on the ground and be devastated. And, you know, we rode that wave with the players, but we actually clapped and cheered our team. And there's not many fan bases that do that. So I do think we're building a pretty special community. And I was really...
we kept chanting, mate. We got a Titans chant up after the game finished. You know, that's when people start to head for the exits and whatnot. But I turned around, I made sure we were all clapping, and we got a chant up, and we kept on saying, you know what, we gave it the best crack that we possibly could, and unfortunately we lost. But at the end of the day, we have a good crowd there, and we got loud.
And mate, that's the thing. Like literally, Raiders fans were getting up and leaving. They kind of went, "Woo, we got the field goal. All right, see you later," and we were still there cheering our team despite the loss. So. I'm not going to criticize the culture of Canberra's fans, but I've certainly seen some more passion from crowds in the past, that's for sure.
Well, as well, you know, we had the pre-game function. So for everyone who you listen to the podcast, you know that we had a function in Townsville, we have a function in Canberra, one in New Zealand in a couple of weeks, or next week, sorry, and then one at Leichhardt for the Tigers game later on in the year, I think around 15 or so. And we had probably about 50 people, you'd say. Oh, well, you weren't there, actually, to be fair. You were too busy watching the UFC rather than supporting our mighty Gold Coast Titans at the event. But I think there was about 50 people there, 50, 60 people. And again, this is in Canberra. This isn't in Broadbeach. This isn't in Burleigh Heads or Parkwood. This is in Canberra. So it just goes to show that the nonsense that people spread online that we don't have fans is absolute baloney, son.
Yeah, we've got a growing fan base, and I think when you really start to see the Titans take off is with our next generation, and that's why we like inspiring the community as much as we can on this podcast, so that, you know, the kids that have grown up on the Gold Coast know that the Titans is the team for you. That you are a part of our community. We want you to be a part of our community, right? As opposed to when I was a kid, I was kind of the first generation of possible Titans fans, and I stuck with my dad's team for as long as possible with the Eels. Then I was absolutely suck, and the Titans are awesome. And obviously made the jump across. But you know what else is really awesome, guys? A few housekeeping rules that we have here on the podcast, and that is liking and subscribing if you're on YouTube, following and rating us 5 stars on Apple or Spotify if that's where you listen. It all helps grow the show, which in turn helps grow the Titans and our overall community. Another reminder, phone the frontline. Let us hear from you every week. We will finish the show by listening to voice messages that can be sent in with your name or anonymously. The way to do that is to head to www.speakpipe.com/Titans Frontline Podcast.
And I will say, in regards to that, we have had a lot of people send voice messages in. So, guys, obviously, we'll do this towards the back end of the podcast. Please don't be offended if your message doesn't get shown. Like we will obviously show as much as we can. We don't want to go 3 hours on a podcast, but we do massively appreciate all the love that we've seen this week in regards to that. Yeah, no, it's great to see that you guys getting around the frontline segment.
Yeah, we're very excited to launch it because we've been saying for pretty much since we started the podcast, we want to get you as involved as possible. We've got some more great plans throughout this year and next year. So the podcast is going to keep growing with your support. So, of course, we appreciate it very, very much. And let's move to our first segment. It's Titans news. And I think we should start with the obvious one. I'm assuming everyone wants to hear our take on this. It's a big talking point. Our coach, Des Hasler, goes to the post-game press conference and says he thought the refereeing from Casey Badger could have been better. And he had some concerns to the nature of whether the Raiders were onside or offside when they charged down Kieran Foran's field goal attempt. The rugby league world erupts. Titans fans all online, you see, we're salty, we're sooks, who cares? Ricky Stuart literally tells Des Hasler to F off in the tunnel and says, well, I'm going to have a go at you in my press conference. He then goes to that press conference and labels us as cheats. One day later, as Titans fans, we are vindicated as the NRL comes out and reveals the Raiders were in fact offside. And as neither side benefited from the missed field goal attempt, we should have been awarded a penalty right in front of the post, which of course would have led to a 2-point conversion and a win in the game. So I don't know, man. Where do we even start with this one? I'll go to you for your thoughts. It's such a wide and broad topic.
There is a lot to unpack. It's really difficult to kind of bring it all within a short little moment here. But look, the first thing I want to say is, out of all people to come out and to say that Casey Badger was a fantastic ref and how amazing that she did and all this kind of stuff, and out of all people to be, you know, really loving the refereeing, Ricky Stuart is probably not the right guy to be saying that. Also, secondly, this guy is the one who sooks and whinges literally every single press conference, win or lose. He's been known to call a player a weak-gutted dog in one of his interviews before. So, not exactly something that people take a lot of respect out of, but they do find it comical. Now, the issue that I find is that to label us as cheats is a massive, massive thing in Australian culture, because Australians, and this is why the South Africa scandal of cricket, back in like 2017, I think it was such a big deal, is because we hold ourselves accountable and responsible for our actions. And when we did that, we came out and said, no, that's not on. We want to win fair and square. We want a fair game. That's how the Aussie culture is. We want fairness and a great game through fairness, right? If you lose, but you give it your best crack, that's what we want to see at the end of the day, just throwing everything out there on the line, which is what we saw in this game. Now, to be labelled as cheats from this guy is just disgraceful in my personal opinion, because one, the NRL has also now come out and officially apologised, saying that, well, if you want to say the words that he used, that they have officially cheated in this game. And there were obviously the stats that Graham Annesley was trying to even out in regards to 28 times the Titans could have been called for a offside or 6 again or whatever, and the Raiders 10. But we had 41% possession in this game, right? So you've also got to kind of try and equal that out. Like if you give 50% possession to either team, with the team obviously without the ball, you're more than likely going to see that 10 for the Raiders jump up and 50% for the Titans go down a bit. So that's what the issue here for me is that because we had such significantly less ball, now whether you can go and blame whatever reasons you want for that, but at the end of the day, they're putting in probably a very similar, if not the exact same amount of foul calls and penalties that could have gone our way in that game if you equal it out. But people refuse to listen to that. So my biggest issue at the end of the day is that the NRL has officially apologised for it. Okay, yes, that sucks. Yes, we have to move on. But I don't like Ricky Stuart. I think that is a really, really awful thing to say about this club, and to throw our entire organisation, our coach, our players, and ultimately our fans in our community and label us as cheaters. So that's my issue there. Ricky Stuart, I'm going to say it right now, wanker.
I think he should have faced an infringement for that. If you label the referee a cheat, you get infringed because you're questioning someone's integrity that is paid to officiate the game. If you label the other team a cheat, you're suggesting that they intentionally twisted the rulebook of rugby league to gain an advantage. And it's now been proven by the NRL that that's not the case. And so I just wonder that, and I understand we have to protect referees, and that's why we find coaches when they say that. But I mean, what legal grounds do we have here? I'd love if any solicitors, lawyers, whatever, listen to the show, because it just doesn't seem right to me. It's such a really, really strong word to use. And
I'm going to jump, sorry to interrupt you, but I also want to say we never actually called the Raiders cheats either. We were just questioning in regards to the calls there, and we were saying that we have a question about the offside, which is fair from Desi. You know, Desi, and also another thing, really appreciate Des coming in and standing up for us, which is what we signed him for, which was what we know we can do, and that's great that he's come in, because I don't believe Justin Holbrook would have ever gone out with that kind of notion in a press conference, right? But at the end of the day, we never called the Raiders cheats, and we don't call the Raiders cheats. We do question the calls, however.
Absolutely, and the coach has every right to do so in a press conference, particularly when pressed by journalists, as that's what they want to print in their media. But my take on this one, Titans as a community have absolutely every right to be disappointed in this situation, because this is not the first time it's been confirmed we were dudded in a tight situation. Notice I used the word dudded there. I won't say robbed, because in-crack calls happen all over the course of an 80-minute game, but we've been really unlucky. You know, if you don't want to use the word robbed, you could say dudded or super unlucky. It happened last year against the Raiders with Dave Fafita supposedly pushing Jamal Fogarty off the ball when he was actually being obstructed. It happened against the Eels where they were offside in a field goal and we did not get a penalty. And it happened against the Dolphins when we were offside during their field goal, and it was literally the first time in like 10 years or maybe ever we'd seen that enforced.
And it was in consecutive games.
In consecutive games, which made it even worse. So it's just not good enough. What I didn't like was how Graham Annesley went through and said they believe Casey Badger missed around 28 penalties, or the 28 extra infringements could have been awarded to the Raiders in that, because that's just not true. That's just not true, because there was already 18 or something. You want to add 28 to that number. I worked it out. It works out to over 75% or more of the times the Raiders had a set of 6, they would have got a penalty or a set restart. That is impossible in rugby league. Like, that has never even come close in the history of 19-0. If you want to go back to 1908, we have never seen a side penalised over 75% of their defensive sets. It is quite literally impossible. And I believe that the NRL came out and said that to kind of shield Casey Badger and protect her of, oh, hey, look, she was very against one side here in the Titans, but she could have been much worse. Look at the stats we've got. So I really would question the stats and data there. I don't think that's fair at all.
And again, it comes down to possession as well, man. I'm telling you, again, it comes down to possession. If you give us 50-50, I'm telling you the Raiders are infringing just as much as the Titans are in that situation.
Absolutely, mate. And for me, I'll finish it on this point. It comes down to three key words I'll use: poor discipline, gamesmanship, and cheating. And if you want to say we had poor discipline, I'll cop it. If you want to say we had gamesmanship, I think that's silly, because you use gamesmanship to see how far you can test the referee and slow the ruck. You don't get penalised 14 times and keep doing it. So I don't think we were trying to use gamesmanship. Gamesmanship is what we see in Origin, guys, where they always hold the ruck a little bit longer because the ref thinks, I don't want to ruin this showcase and blow a penalty. What can I get away with the referee? That's gamesmanship. So to go to the complete other end and then say we were cheating when I've just explained why we're more at this end of ill discipline is just unfair by Ricky Stuart. I'm really upset that he labelled us as cheats. That's the most disappointed I've ever been as a Titans fan, if I'm absolutely honest. I believe he should face punishment from the NRL. It's unacceptable to say that. That being said, though, Blaze, like, what can we do? The decision's been made in regards to the game. We could sit here and whine for hours and say how unfair it is, but I think we should just leave it as it is what it is. I personally wouldn't be proud if we won the game that way under controversial fashion. So I'm not disappointed that we're losing that way either. I love our team. I love our community. And I will say I'm very proud at how much we've rallied together online on all the Titans groups and pages. We made a positive from a negative in this. And I think that's something really powerful that we should appreciate as a community. It was a real negative, and we made it a positive with our support and how we rallied behind each other. So I was really, really pleased to see that. Next piece of news, mate. Let's tone it down a little. And I'm not sure if this one's unfortunate or maybe beneficial to our club when we talk salary cap and you have to be realistic with the players you can keep. It's reported Ken Mamalo's management have gone to the Titans and asked for a release. They believe he should be playing first grade. They're not getting answers why he's not. So it's reported by the Daily Telegraph that he wants out of the club. Your thoughts on whether we should be releasing Big Ken or not?
Look, I think that at this point, we're pretty well aware that we have quite a bit of depth in our wing department. We've obviously got Loffy, we've got Phil Sammy, who's playing fullback this week. We've got big Tony Francis, who I'm so looking forward to getting a crack when he does get an opportunity, man. I see him working so hard in the warm downs, whether that be in Canberra or Townsville. It wasn't as hot and sweaty as it was up there in Townsville, but he was still sweating a hard one there with Isaac Fa'asumalawi after the game on the weekend. We've got Shup here who can go there. We've got plenty of guys who can go onto the wing. And look, if Ken Mamala's asking for a release, it obviously means that he's just not, he's not in it for the club anymore. And he's looking for a place that maybe he can get another crack. Maybe Super League could be the way for him to go, because I'm not too sure at his age, if he can't really kind of crack it into our club right now, I'm not too sure where he's going to be able to. But at the end of the day, if a player's asking for a release, I don't ever want to say, no, you can't go. I say, listen, you don't want to be here, then that's your choice, and yeah, we'll free up the salary cap.
Completely agree with that. Like, Ken Mamalo came to us looking for a chance to break back into the NRL after a few disappointing years with the Tigers. At one point, I had him as one of the best wingers in the game when he was at the Warriors. But look, it's clear we've got the young talent there to step up, and at this point in our club where we are kind of rebuilding, it makes more sense to pick like a debutant in Tony Francis than it would a veteran in Ken Mamalo. So I'd be happy to honour Ken's release. If I had to speculate, or not even speculate, if I had to say which club could use him most, I'm going to say the Newcastle Knights.
Yeah.
Greggy Marsden gets a nice roll on for him, but then Thomas Jenkins, a little bit smaller of a winger.
With that being said, though, today they obviously signed James Schiller, from the Raiders. So they're obviously already looking at. I found that out through your page actually on Instagram. Yeah. So they've obviously already got a May sign there. They've got Greggy Martz here, but the wings have been an issue for the Knights. So I agree with you, but they have made that signing now in Schiller, and he's a lot younger.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we wish, if Ken does leave the club, we wish him all the best. If he stays, we're happy to have you here mentoring our young players, particularly our young wingers coming through. But yeah, if I was Kenny, I might look for a move to the Knights, get a bit of form under my belt for the rest of this year, and then look to get a big deal over in the Super League once he reminds everyone what he's capable of there. Alrighty, let's move to our injury updates. Jaden Campbell, torn PCL. We're hearing 4 to 6 weeks from the club. Ryan Foran, unfortunately, in a Queensland Cup game for the Jets, has strained his MCL. He's set to miss up to 6 weeks. And Keenan Palacia is still on track for a round 8 return from his quad injury. Charges from the last round, only the one. It was Jimmy Jolliffe with a grade 1 careless high tackle. He will receive a $1,000 fine and miss no games for us. Last bit of news we've got for you guys. It is a double header this Saturday at Seabus Super Stadium. A genuine double header though, guys, because you want to be there at 3 p.m. and watch both of our feeder clubs, the Ipswich Jets and the Tweed Head Seagulls, play each other prior to our game with Manly at 5:30 p.m. in the NRL. We will preview that game later in the podcast. We'll tell you all the Titans that are in action. And again, guys, when we say these things, we're not saying it on behalf of the club. It's just two fans that love our club, and we want to see as many people down there
But my question is, who am I drumming for? Who do I drum for in this game? I can't drum for the Tweed Seagulls, and I can't drum for the Ipswich Jets. Like, obviously, Tweed Heads are our feeder club, and the Ipswich Jets are kind of like we're going to put our players here and good luck, because they are technically, I believe, the Roosters. But who do I go for here? I don't know, man. I don't know.
We'll have to wait and see. But it is Toby. Not Toby. Sorry, it is Tom Weaver. I was about to say Toby Sexton. It is Tommy Weaver versus Tanner Boyd in that game as well. So our two young halfbacks will want to make their mark for sure. Let's move on to our next segments, guys. It is the blast from the pastime, baby. Let's get a sound effect right now, please.
He's forced me to put the sound effect in here, guys.
I've even sent it to him on email. So, ready? When I click my fingers? Bang. Blast from the past, Blaze. I will hand it over to you. Our opponent this week is the Manly Seagulls. What round and what year are you taking us back to?
Oh, mate. If you're a Titans fan, you know what game I'm talking about. Round 3, 2018. It was at Lottoland, and I can't actually insult that name anymore because we obviously do have, the lottery office as our main sponsor. So we love the lottery office. Don't worry about that. But we won this game 42-34. Absolute big bopper slap up in Manly. And we were, fun fact, also down by 16 points in this game. Actually, the Trebojevic brothers went off in this one. Tom Trebojevic scored in the 10th minute, Jake Trebojevic scored in the 12th minute, and Tom Trebojevic scored in the 15th minute. So within 15 minutes of this game, they'd scored 3 tries. It was crazy. But Donny actually opened the scoring, Anthony Don, in the 6th minute. So, we got off to a great start and then fell apart very quickly. And then Joel Thompson in the 30th minute, he made it a 16-point deficit up until AJ Brimson just before half-time at the 39th minute mark. Had an absolute banger try where I think it was a nice little grubber. I've actually got it here. So he gets the ball to 15 and he kicks it right on through for himself and just scores under the post. And I've always said, AJ Brimson is the guy with the best grubber in the business. Whether he kicks it to himself or he kicks it to somebody else, he has a great grubber assist on him. And as soon as we scored that try, and we always say this, if you can score a try within that last 2 to 3 minutes of a half, regardless if you're up or down, you're more than likely going to win that game. You're more than likely going to go on to win that game, and that's exactly what we did. Ash Taylor, within a minute of the second half starting. Phil Sammy, the big Phil, 45th minute. Mitch Rain, 51st minute. Jack Stockwell in the 59th minute. And then AJ Brimson completes our scoring with the 62nd minute. Now, it was a little bit nervy for a little bit, though, because we were up 42 to about, I think, 22. 42-22. And then the Manly Seagulls scored another couple of tries through, again, Jake Trebojevic for his double. And then Tom Trebojevic for his hat-trick, man. So it was a nice win down there. Not a big crowd, actually. Only 6,382 in attendance there. Maybe because Manly was scared that we were going to slap them. And guess what? We did do that. So 42-34. Do you remember this game?
Yeah, I remember AJ Brimson was still... Well, he was established as a fullback, but he'd also played a little bit of 5'8" for us. I believe this is around the time Michael Gordon was with the club as well, maybe a year after. But I remember AJ, I got here 8 tackle breaks he had, which was awesome. But my biggest memories of this game was Ryan James. His stats in this one were 19 runs, 193 metres, 78 of those were post-contact. He had 5 tackle breaks. He also made 38 tackles. Ryan James was, for so many years, underrated for us, right, man? And then he just had those unfortunate run of knee injuries and couldn't get his body right again. And it was... I still look back to this day and it sucks we lost Ryan. I don't know what happened there between himself and the club, but he's someone I wish that we could have hung on to. Unfortunately, we weren't able to.
Yeah, unfortunately, there were situations that we won't talk about here in regards to kind of why Ryan left the club. But at the end of the day, I love that there are 3 players in this team that are still in the team. You know, we had AJ Brimson, we had Philip Salmi, and then we've also got Mwaki Fotuwaika, a very young Mwaki Fotuwaika there on the interchange bench. So it's great to see that we still have 3 of those guys. Obviously, we won't talk about the coach in that game, but we had a really, this was a tough time for the club, and which I guess we're always feeling. But at the end of the day, we came and we won this one, won it well. We are actually, fun fact for your Manly's bogey side. If people don't understand this, we are a bogey side for someone. It's crazy, I know. We are a bogey side, and we are the bogey side for the Manly Seagulls. Because although we have the best winning percentage of the Tigers and always beat them, everyone's their bogey side. But for Manly, we just always seem to find a way to get up from them. Look at last year when we went down to Brookvale after that Dolphins loss and we slapped them. So A little bit of hoo-ha, a little bit of hoorah coming up this weekend.
Mate, I like it a lot. My other memory from this game was the Nathan Peets and Mitch Rain hooker combination that we had for a number of years. I know a lot of people didn't like it, but I thought that they actually did suit pretty well. Like, Peets was a great defender, and Mitch Rain was a great attacking hooker. We saw he scored in this game, so I always appreciated their combination at hooker, although both players realistically came to us probably not in their best career form. Still massively appreciated their efforts in a Titans jersey. All right, guys, that's our blast from the past. We'll move to our Titans trivia section. Our trivia question last week was, how many Titans players have played 140 or more NRL games for the club, and can you name 3 of them?
Can I try and answer the question? Can I try and answer it?
Give me 3.
All right.
Or you can give me all.
Okay, I'll try and give you all. I'll say Ryan James, David Mead, Anthony Don, Luke Bailey, Will Zillman, and Mark Minicello. Am I right?
I mean, it's almost like you're reading our show notes. Wow, that was incredible, man.
Mate,
in the exact order as well.
Oh, listen, it was just all off the top of my head.
It was not. Our Titans trivia question this week. After 6 rounds in the 2024 competition, which Titans player has run the most amount of meters? I've got the answer there. Please don't splurt it out. That's for us to reveal next week. So after 6 round, guys, we won't include this coming game. After our 6 first rounds, which of our players has run the most amount of meters? Go ahead and leave your guess now. The correct answer will go in the draw to win $1,000 thanks to our sponsor, BKRsport on YouTube.
Where did this come from? Hey, wait a second.
I did not confirm that with him pre-game.
I've just seen this.
We're moving on. It's been said now. All right, Titans fans, let's do it. Let's review our game against the Raiders. Unfortunately, we do go down to GIO Stadium in front of a crowd of around 12,000. They're losing 21-20 in Golden Point via a field goal. Result aside, though, as I kind of touched on at the start, I don't think any Titans fans can be disappointed with the amount of effort we put in. And that was across 90 minutes, not just 80. It seems like it's starting to click, and our season is now well and truly in motion, which is something we've all been waiting for since round 1. So I'll go to you for your thoughts first. How did you see this one?
Yeah, just to clarify, guys, Clarkey will be the one giving the $1,000 reward for the Titans trivia. But no, obviously, this game was a fun one to watch, in my personal opinion, because even we heard Blocker Roach say something positive about our team, and when we scored that try through Loffy, not to tie the game up, to have the kick to tie the game up, even Blocker said, this team does not go away, does not die, or something along those lines, today. So he wasn't even giving us a positive compliment forever. It was just in this game, apparently. So shout out to the biggest muppet in the business there. But look, overall, I really enjoyed this one because we saw the defensive foundations being set up. A massive, massive defensive foundation. There's no one who can say that we did not have solid defense in this game. We held them out dramatically, multiple times. And this is what we want to see as a club, because we've been known as this attack-only, no-defense club probably for 17 years now. I don't think there's ever been a time where we've actually had really solid defense. Even in 2010, we were still giving up scores, right? So for me, that was a whole different game back then. So a big score you could say is 18 or 14 kind of deal. Nowadays, a big score is like 24 plus, which is what we have been giving up. So to see this game, the defensive resilience was really, really impressive. And as I was going to say there in regards to that reference to the old mate in the commentary, we went down by 10 points with 5 minutes. We were down by 10 points with 10 minutes to go. And normally you would see this team just be like, okay, well, here we go again, lose their heads, which has been a problem for many, many years now. But then we scored through Loffy, and then we scored through Loffy again. And I will tell you right now, when it comes to away games, you can't get much better than when Brian Kelly kicked that conversion to tie the game up. We had no JC. Obviously, we dropped Tanner Boyd, which actually we have to clarify here. Obviously, when we record this podcast, guys, Tanner Boyd was still playing. We didn't know until the same time you guys knew on Saturday that he had been dropped, because Desi said he's not doing anything until, obviously, the captain's run. So if you listen to the podcast, we're like, oh, why are they talking about Tanner? That's because, 1, he's a part of our club and we love him still. But also, 2, we didn't know yet. But that crowd, we went nuts. I mean, you can actually see us go absolutely nuts. Not only in my vlog, but on the coverage when Loffy scores, but when BK scored, we just we went absolutely nutso there, man. So that's why we do it, and that's what we enjoy. And yes, obviously we know in extra time, We should have won that game in extra time based off of the no call. But at the end of the day, I'm super proud of the effort, super proud of the passion. And you can't tell me that not one of those boys, not a single one of our players, didn't put in every possible effort that they could in this game. And I was really impressed by Brian Kelly, who has been having a tough season so far. Really impressed that he really turned up and was one of our best players. Impressed by the tackles that, guys like Chrissy Randall and Jimmy Jolliffe and Bowie Firma were making. Like, every single player in this team gave it the reddest hot crack they could. And there was still, again, another spine shuffle in this game that people aren't talking about. We had to put AJ to the fullback towards the back end of the game because we didn't have a fullback because JC went off injured, as he's now out for 4 to 6 weeks. So again, we've had a spine shuffle. We've gone down to Canberra and we've nearly beat them. We've actually arguably been robbed. And this is a fantastic performance of mine. So anyone who is saying, Jamal Fogarty this, Jamal Fogarty that, I thought we actually handled him quite well. I know he kicked that field goal in the 89th minute, but at the end of the day, it shouldn't have come to that. So for me, really impressed by every single one of our boys and impressed by the turnout.
Very impressed with everything except, as you said, people talking about Jamal Fogarty still online. Guys, we've got to let it go. Like, this is just like Reynolds when he left the Rabbitohs. I let it go the moment he left our club. Like, the moment he left, I let it go. Let's be very clear. Jamal Fogarty is a serviceable halfback that's having a good season. We didn't lose Adam Reynolds.
The biggest frustrating thing is, though, is that when Jamal was here, people understood he was bland, he was basic, he did what he could, and we got as far as 8th place, which relied on the Sharks and the Roosters, or Sharks and Storm, Sharks and Raiders actually, to lose in the final round for us to get in 2021 with a losing record. That was the halfback we had. He was never spectacular for us. He was never special for us. He did the job. Now, is he playing well now? Absolutely. But that wasn't what he was like when he was playing with us. And that doesn't mean that he would have been like that playing with us. Players go elsewhere. They can improve. They're a very different player. And he has become a different player at Canberra under Ricky Stuart. And I'll give him that. I'll say that's a positive. But move on. Because he was not like that when he was at the Gold Coast. And I don't believe he would have become like that at the Gold Coast.
Completely agree, man. If we want to go down that path, why didn't we keep Jerome Hughes? Do you know what I mean? Like, he just wasn't that player. Yeah, why don't we keep... You know what I mean? Like, you can't know the future, guys. We've got to let it go. He's not our halfback anymore. Who cares? He's just another halfback in the NRL. For some reason, fans are like... They always cling to that. Oh, we let Fogarty go. Why do we do... And I think it's because the media played up as well.
Yeah, but people say, bring back Toby Sexton, bro. And it's like, I'm his mate. I know how much he copped it last year and the year before. He was
like one of the most hated young halfbacks.
Oh, and then they're like, bring back Sexton. It's like, and Tobe's like, he's a mate of mine. I love this guy, but I'm sorry. He's currently in the New South Wales Cup and not getting a crack over Drew Hutchinson. But at the end of the day, you guys, not people listening here necessarily, not us, but like Titans fans, severely hated on him like they're doing to Tanner Boyd right now, and it's just insane to me. You watch in 4 or 5 years time, people will be like, oh, why'd we get rid of Tanner Boyd? You watch.
New rule for the Titans fans, or the fan clubs online: when you feel like criticizing a player we've lost, put that energy into the current player in his position and give him a rap for something good he's done this year. He might read it and it might help his form. Back to this game, I thought it was an amazing effort from our troops. We defended more than 10 minutes than the Raiders, and we only had 42% of possession, which is the lowest I've seen of any NRL side this year. With the footy, despite the fatigue, we still completed at a reasonable 82%, which could have been higher, but it is still higher than our season average. So again, there's a positive sign there. We missed 38 tackles. That's too many. We came up with 15 ineffective tackles. That's too many. But the scramble we shown in defense, especially on our own try line, was absolutely commendable. I want to say 5 meters, maybe 10 meters from Isaac Liu, when I can't remember which Raider he has, but they're fighting for the line and he is holding him up with everything he's got, and the rest of our troops get across and wrap him up. Moments like that were just spectacular for our team. We faced so much adversity and we continued to respond and we continued to turn up. And that is something we unfortunately cannot say about every Titans team in the past. We were heavily penalised. 8-1 for set restarts. 5-3 for penalties. Really unlucky there. Our discipline could have been better. Absolutely. We should always look to improve that area. I think any side that blames the referee for that and goes, oh, we were robbed because we got penalties, like always look to improve as a side, right? And I think that's our takeaway there. My personal opinion from an outside of footy fan was I thought some of them were unfair, but we can be better as a team. There's something to work on there and something positive. If we continue this trajectory and this amount of effort remains under Des Hasler, we might not win as many games this year as we did last year, in my opinion, but I can promise you we will build the groundwork for a successful 2025 season. We are seeing players step up in the absence of Tino, particularly in our middle forwards, which we'll get to when we give our 3-2-1s, I suspect. So my final takeaway, man, is I'm just really proud of our team in this one. I'm really proud. I don't care we lost if I'm absolutely honest. I don't care. I'm really proud of our team.
Yeah, I'm going to say in regards to... So I just want to quickly go and have a look here. In 2023, we had... in 2023, we after round 27, we had 9 wins. Yeah, that's quite a lot considering that we're already, we're 5 games into the season for us, 6 games for everybody else, but 5 games in. I think that I will hold that notion and disagree for this week. If we see the same effort and same performance from the Titans against Manly and we win that game, I can see us absolutely, if we see the consistency there, that now the players are starting to click with the Desi schemes and systems and whatnot, I can see us really going on a run. And I've been saying this all season, we just need to win 1 win and we'll go on a run. I know that we've got a bit of a tough schedule coming up, but if we play defensively sound like we did on the weekend against the Raiders, and we do the same thing, which we never see with the Titans, we are consistent with what we've done, that's going to prove to me, as I was saying to you all throughout the game, because obviously, guys, I was literally sitting next to Clarkey, I was saying to him the entire time that it's starting to click. It looks like it's starting to click because, again, we saw a better performance against the Cowboys, and then we've seen a better performance against the Raiders. And now, if we see a better performance against Manly and we win that game, there's nothing to tell me that these players aren't starting to click. And yes, it's frustrating that we have no Tino, but I will hold the notion of what you've just said just for 1 more week. If we completely throw it away and we look awful, blah, 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 and we go back to our old demons and old ways, then yeah, I'll 100% agree with you. But for the time being, I'll hold it. Do you disagree with what I'm saying?
No, I guess my key message there for Titans fans is don't be disheartened if we do lose games like we did this year by 1 point. Because once we get Tino back, once we get our spine firing again, and now we have another year under Des Hasler to work our defensive structures and get our offense fully in place. Those will be the games next year that we turn around and we win, right? And you remember there was a lot of games last year we lost by a close margin, and we thought this year would be the year we kind of got over the hump. With a change of coach, it's looking like maybe we might have to sit in that holding pattern for 1 more year. But absolutely, you can see the groundwork and the foundation going down. Dude, dare I say it? I don't know whether... If we don't have a spine change in the last 2 games, we probably win. Dude, we were coming back hard against the Cowboys, and like AJ Brimson hadn't played 5/8 to this point in this season. If that was Kieran Foran down the left head, he probably double pumps, felt run straight through the line thinking he's getting an intercept, and we've got the ball to our left wing, and we go down and score, and the scores are even. If Jaden Campbell doesn't get injured, we don't have to shift our spine. He's not as close to the post as Kieran Foran. Jaden's got a huge boot, man. He's another 10 meters back, and he probably nails it in front. I don't want to go down that path, but dare I say it, we might have won our last 2 games if we didn't have a spine shuffle. Sorry if people think I'm an idiot for that thought. Let's go to our 3-2-1s. Who's getting your 3 points this week?
My 3 points is going to go to BK. I'm going to go to Brian Kelly. I thought that he really stood up in a game that... Look, we've been talking for weeks now about how the general fan base has been quite concerned with BK's performance this season. I thought that he was fantastic. I thought that 15 runs for 117 metres. He had 36 post-contact metres with a line break. He had a line break assist. He had a try assist. He had the conversion from the sideline, which is his first ever conversion made. And you could not ask for a harder kick for him, especially being on the sideline with, to be fair, there was probably a couple of, Raiders fans there, but there weren't many. He had 3 tackle breaks in that one and had 3 offloads in this game, 19 tackles. The only issue is the missed tackles there. But at the end of the day, he had a really, really solid performance, and I was really impressed by him overall. And I want to give him a shout out for the massive rise. The only issue is the missed tackles, which is 5, which does top the team. But overall, everything else, he was absolutely superb.
No doubt in my mind that was BK's best game this season and probably in a little while. And I will say that conversion from the sideline was one of the coolest moments I've ever witnessed in Titans history, live or on television.
We were
If
giving
you want to hear,
50 to 1. We were saying he's 51 to
yeah,
make this.
well, you were. I was kind of like, you can kind of hear me on camera when I watched your vlog saying, "Come on, give us this moment, give us this moment." So I was, maybe I did think it was
Give me
51. That's
odds.
why I was
Yeah,
playing.
give me odds of what you would have thought him kicking that before he kicked it.
Yeah, I'll be honest. The reason why I was so nervous, and I think you could actually see me nervous on the broadcast as well, was I did think that he'd missed because he just missed one in even more closer. But no, what a moment. Thank you so much for that, BK. That was awesome. My 3 points this week goes to Jimmy Jolliffe. Another monstrous effort in the middle. For me, he's been our best middle forward this year. And I'm really excited that once Tino gets back next year and he's back to push Jimmy during the preseason, we could see Jimmy really elevate into the elite prop category. And then if we can get Mo back firing, we would have 3 genuine star middle forwards, as well as someone like Keenan Palacia, who's injured at the moment, did play in a grand final next year. So Jimmy has absolutely stepped up. And I do believe on this trajectory, he will break into that elite category next year, right up there with Tino and Mo when they're at their best. Who did you give your 2 points to?
My 2 points is going to be going to Jimmy Jolliffe. Absolutely. You know, I like 9 runs for 103 metres. Look, to be fair, we do want to bump that up a little bit. But overall, yeah, he was fantastic yet again. He had 30 post-contact metres there. 34 kick return metres, obviously off the back fence. He had a tackle break. And also 54 tackles. 54 tackles for 1 miss there. So overall, yeah, really impressed there by Jimmy Jolliffe. I swear that it said none. I swear it had 55 and no missed. Yeah,
it was 55 and 0 after the game. They've updated to 54 and 1, unfortunately.
Well, there you go. Well, either way, it doesn't really matter. But yeah, I would again give 2 to Jimmy Jolliffe for sure.
Well, my 2 points, I've got your one that you had for 3. I've got Brian Kelly, just because we did. But not only did Brian Kelly have a brilliant game, that sideline conversion was a moment I won't ever forget. Not to mention he did set up a try and score another, which was obviously crucial in the comeback. So BK gets my 2 points. Who gets your 1 point?
My numero uno point, I'm actually going to go to someone that... Oh, there's 2 here. No, I will... I'm going to give it to Chrissy Randall. Man. I thought that he was fantastic. Although he doesn't have a great deal of... Again, we know he's not a great attacking hooker. He still had 2 runs for 31 metres. So that's averaging nearly 16 metres per run, which is pretty impressive, to be fair. He had 1 line break assist. He had a try assist in this game. He had a tackle break in this game. He had 2 dummy half runs for the 31 metres, as I just said. But he had 61 tackles. 61 tackles in this game, which is the highest amount of tackles. It's 19 more than Morgan Smithy's, who was the highest for the Raiders. And yeah, really impressive there by Chrissy Randall. I'll give my shout out after you do your one, but Chrissy Randall gets my point.
I believe Chris Randall was the one that set Jamin Jolliffe up for that try as well, coming out of dummy half. That was a great play there. My 1 point went to AJ Brimson. I just loved his energy up around the footy all game, wanting the ball. Confidence was high. And then, of course, he had to transition back to fullback to finish the game. So really loved Brimo's energy. I wish I could give him more points, but we're going to stick to the 3-2-1, so I can only give 1 point to Brimo this week. Who did you want to give an honourable mention to?
Well, one was going to be Brimo for sure, but you've explained why. I love what Brimo did in this game. But I'm going to say Harley Smith-Shields. I thought Harley Smith-Shields really, we could see that he's a centre in this game. 17 runs for 182 metres in this game. That is a fantastic performance there from Harley, especially when he had a little bit of a shaky start on the wing against the Cowboys. 79 post-contact metres in this game. He had 3 tackle breaks. We know he's a machine. He's got a massive frame. And 17 tackles for the 1 miss. So I was really impressed by what Harley did in this game.
Yeah, he was back home in Canberra. I believe he went to school down here. Stuff like that. Obviously, we got him from the Raiders. So back at home, Harley Smith-Shields steps up. So our 3-2-1 in the Frontline's finest leaderboard. We've got Jimmy Jolliffe in first, Philip Sami in second, and surprisingly enough, Tino is still third, but that's because he collected our 3 points from both of us in round 1, so that put him on 6, above a bunch of other players that are on 5, 4, and similar amounts. So we will update you again next week once we add our votes in from this week. Affiliates recap time. Tweed Seagulls, they had their bye last round, and the Jets fought hard but went down 18-28 against the Burleigh Bears. That means Tweed are now in 12th place, and the Jets are in 14th. How did our Titans go in this one? Well, Kenny Mamalo, he had 148 metres and 2 tackle breaks. What about Aaron Schopp? 3 from 3 goals, 220 metres, 104 post contact, and 3 tackle breaks. Great job there from him. Tanner Boyd, he ran the ball 7 times for 62 metres. He had a try assist, a line break of his own. He defended perfectly with 19 tackles and 0 missed, and also had 392 kick metres. We had Ryan Foran. He had a great game until he unfortunately injured his MCL. He had 30 tackles for 0 missed, 6 runs for 46 metres. Joe Stimson, 121 metres for him at lock. 32 tackles, but did miss 5. I think Joe at his best doesn't miss 5 there. But the man we've got to shout out again from the affiliates, man, it is Aaron Shoppy. Now, still not included on our extended bench this week, but there is a bit of a strange thing where Harley Smith-Shields is named in the Jets, but then he's also named for the Titans, but then Shoppy's not on our extended bench. So I think that's just an error on the Queensland Cup website from what I can tell. Wait and see. We don't know at the time we record this podcast, but
because there's no way there's no way you could drop Harley Smith-Shields from the NRL team after the performance he just had. I just gave him a big rap.
yeah. But that's the thing, man. Shoppy's now run 200 plus meters and up around 100 post contact the last 3 games in a row. He's goal kicking. He's playing so great. But as you said, you can't justify dropping Harley or BK based on last round either. So I feel for Shoppy at the moment, man. He's putting in some big work and numbers in reserve grade. And, you know, you never hope for an injury, of course, but I hope in some way he gets a chance to show himself this year. It sounds so weird, right? Because at this stage, for Shoppy to come into our side, we need someone to dip in form or get injured, which we don't want. But we do want to see Shoppy. I know a few years ago we were thinking about transitioning to a back rower, but we're pretty stocked in the back rows too.
You know, way too stocked in back row, yeah.
Yeah, so Shoppy's just the odd man out at the moment. It sucks because
he's
playing so well.
I think with Shoppy, he's playing very, very well, and he's trying hard to get in, and I would love to see him get a crack. But again, Harley had such a fantastic game against the Raiders. If he had a poor game there after his, a poorish start against the Cowboys, I think that you might have seen should be coming up for this game. Again, it's a bit confusing on the HostPlus Cup website and NRL.com and whatnot, but overall, you might have seen Shoppy after another fantastic performance get brought up, but overall, I don't think that'll happen because Harley did do such a great defensive job and such great effort against the Raiders there. But yeah, look, in this game as well, good to see Tan get a crack. Good to see him get a try assist and a line break and no missed tackles there. Overall, I know you guys don't want to hear about him right now, but we are going to still love the guy that is in our club, and we are going to still support him. And I will really encourage people right now, please, he's been dropped. There does not need to be a need to continuously throw memes out there and to continuously shit on the guy. The guy is a human being, and I really want to plead with everyone who listens to this podcast and plead with anyone who's a Titans fan. Just give it a rest in regards to Tanner. Let him focus on himself. Let him find his way. And then if he comes back, then support him, right? Or just support him now. But overall, just if you don't have anything nice to say, he's already been dropped. There's no need for it to continue because I do still see stuff about it. So from me to you, from everyone, please just leave Tanner alone for a little bit.
And those comments don't come from anyone in the front line. It's more larger Titans Facebook groups that we're all in on Facebook, of course. So, hopefully Tanner keeps that up, man. I was really impressed that he made 19 tackles and 0 missed. Great game by him. Titans to watch this week. Ken Mamalo. As we said, the Queensland Cup website says Harley Smith-Shields. We think that's an error and it should be Aaron Schopp because he's not named in NRL. Tanner Boyd. Ryan Foran is also named players, but we know he's out with an MCL injury, so it might be an error there as well. Joe Stimson, Tommy Weaver, and Jacob Arlick-Winski. I hope I'm pronouncing his new surname correctly there. And then there might be some players from our extended bench that also drop back and play in this game. So
I'll say a couple of players to watch as well that are still associated with the Titans. Obviously, Kyle Foxwell is the halfback for the Ipswich Jets, who people have been calling for. Jalen de Groot, who had a great preseason with us. He's on the wing for the Jets. You've also got Aramahau, who is in the back row, who is a big body there. Has scored a couple of tries in the last couple of weeks as well. Ben Liu and Jordan Penkwood, who have been a part of our preseason as well. That's the Ipswich Jets boys. Actually, I'm reading last week's game. Let me just quickly go have a look to make sure they are playing in this one. But yeah, they're all in the same position, so it's okay. And then we go over to the Tweed Seagulls team lineup. There's Caleb Ngamanu is one to watch out for. Tommy Steadman, you saw him have a good game against the Dolphins in the preseason. Luke Burton, another one. Oscar Bryant. And Vakasikaheli on the bench as well. So they're the guys outside of the 30 that are still involved with the club that you should keep an eye on.
Yeah, I did drop out there, unfortunately, for a moment, but I trust that you are the man that knows this club inside and out, and you previewed those team lists there perfectly.
I was just saying basically that I'm looking forward to watching Billy Slater, Wally Lewis, and Jared Hayne this weekend.
Yeah. I was more looking forward to Alan Langer. If you are on the Gold Coast, it's at 3 p.m. at Seabus. It's a doubleheader between our feeder clubs. Like, if you can get down there, get down there. Why not watch two games for the price of one? Support our Titans, and maybe they'll come around and do a lap afterwards, get some photos of the boys, autographs, whatever it might be. It'll just be great to see so many of our young players that are affiliated with the club get a crack on a big stage with hopefully lots of Titans fans there to support both teams, I guess.
I guess we have to. We definitely have to. But I will just quickly go through the table here so you guys can get the ramifications for what happens. So if the Winnipeg Jets, the Ipswich Jets are in 14th right now, which is just above the Clydesdales. They're on 2 points with 1 win, 4 lost, with a 4 of 102 and an against of 128. So they're on minus 26 right now. The Seagulls, on the other hand, they're on 4 points in 12th position, just above the South Logan Magpies. So the two teams that most people were hyped for this year, the Seagulls and the Magpies, are in the bottom 4, which is quite crazy. But the Seagulls on 4 with 1 win and 3 lost with 1 bye. And they've got a 4 of 80 and an against of 122. So the Jets are actually outscoring the Tweed Seagulls by 13 points this year, but giving up 6 more points. So it's going to be an interesting game. The Seagulls do have a minus 42 differential. It's gonna be super interesting because the Jets, if they win this game, will go above the Seagulls. They will go above. But if the Seagulls win this game, there is a very minute chance of becoming a top 8 team this week. Very, very minuscule. But overall, it's all to play for on the table. And the Jets have to win to stay above the Clydesdales because the Clydesdales will have their bye. I've just seen that it says that there's a bye. It says that the Clydesdales have already had their bye. But it's got bye there. There's no way that they'll have had 2 byes. It'll be their second bye this week, the Western Clydesdales.
That's really strange scheduling.
6 rounds in, yeah.
Yeah. Saturday, 3 p.m. Get down there, guys. You'll get to see a Titans team win, and then you'll get to see another win at 5:30 p.m. as we take on the Manly Seagulls. Sea Eagles. Our coach against his former club he took to premierships and bled in their jersey for. Let's start with the team list. Philip Sami is at fullback ahead of Keanu Kinney. I want to get your thoughts on that one, please.
So what do you say? Sorry, I was just noticing Matthew Lodge's name there, and I can't wait to get into him this weekend. But what do you say, sorry?
Matt Lodge does return from his ACL tear. Philip Sami at fullback ahead of Keanu Kinney. I still had Kinney second in our fullback pecking order. What are your thoughts on Sami starting ahead of him?
Well, it's definitely interesting for sure, especially putting the workload onto Philip Sami coming off an injury. That is something that I find quite interesting. But what Desi says, I believe in, man, especially if we play like we did against the Raiders in this game. I think Keanu, maybe Desi doesn't believe in his size right now, or he just doesn't believe he's ready just yet, and we don't want to, kill his career by just continuously playing him when Desi doesn't believe he's ready and he gets targeted, right? So I feel like Desi's going with a guy in Philip Sami who does make a whole bucket load of meters, can play that fullback role, has played it before, and I believe we broke a streak as well when he did play. That was thanks to Brodie Campbell, a Titans fan from down there in Canberra. He did mention this on the Titans post the other day. So I'm excited for it. Obviously, big love out there to Keanu Kinney. You keep doing your thing, man. Keep working. He's still super young, man. Keanu Kinney is still super young with a whole long career ahead of him. He is 19 years old, right? 19 years old. So don't let that get him. I hope that doesn't get down at all from that, because at the end of the day, he is so young and I know he's patient. So Phil Sami, welcome in. Welcome back. Fire up.
Yeah, I'm excited to see Phil at fullback. He makes big meters from the wing. I expect his work rate will be up there with someone like a Dylan Edwards or a Chance Nickel Klugstad that just keeps running all game and making those crucial meters, which will be important for us, given we are missing our best middle forward, realistically, in Tino there. So excited to see Phil Sami at fullback. And the reason why I trust this so much is every time Tom Trbojevic was injured whilst Des was at the Seagulls, which was a lot, Ruben Garrick, who was traditionally a winger, he slotted in at fullback pretty seamlessly there. And he played that role of just running big meters as opposed to the traditional X factor that we would get from Jaden or they would get from Tom Trbojevic.
I'll keep going. I'll say something after you finish.
So I just really trust Des in that selection there, given we've seen a precedent and we've seen him do this sort of thing in the past.
Yeah, no, and I also want to put this out there for everyone who's suggesting AJ should go to the fullback. That would make absolutely no sense for anyone who's saying AJ to go to the fullback, because then we'd have to obviously drop one of Loffy or Jojo for Phil Sammy coming onto the wing. But also, what's happening with the halves in that situation then? You're changing the spine around again. So what are you bringing back Tanner Boyd? Are you putting him as the 7? Are we starting to get to that stage already, fans? Are we starting to get to the stage of suggesting to bring back players that people have hated for a long time? I really don't get it. So I don't understand why people would suggest AJ to go to fullback, because unless you're putting Tommy Weaver in, which also people criticise, I don't understand a lot of this fan base in regards to their suggestions. You're entitled to your opinion, you're entitled to suggest it, but also it doesn't make sense. Who do you put into the 5'8"? Are you putting Fozza there? Okay, you're moving him back into a different role. And then who you put into the halfback? You bring in Tanner Boyd or you bring in Tommy Weaver, and it's ridiculous. So trust in Desi. Love that he's gone Phil there in the fullback, and love that he's kept the spine basically intact outside of that.
Yeah, there's a lot to play for here. We want to get our first win of the season, of course, but we also want to play for our coach, Des Hasler, who was sacked by the Manly Seagulls. And of course, we are going up against DCE, who infamously backflipped on us, and you could probably say set our club back a couple of years, because we released a couple of players to make that happen. So we go to our record here against the Manly Seagulls, where we have 12 wins, they have 14 across our 26 encounters. So that is actually the equal third most wins in our entire club's history. The only clubs we have more wins over, I believe, are the Knights at 14, and Tigers 19, if I remember correctly from our Titans trivia. So yeah, we've got a good record against the Seagulls, man. We've got a lot to play for this weekend. So how are you seeing this one? You think we're ready to spring an upset and get our first win?
Well, yeah, absolutely. Like I said before, Manly fans consider us their bogey team. And my dad's a Manly fan, right? So I've been speaking to my dad throughout the week. He's over there in Vietnam, and he watches on intently. I don't know if he's watching this. Hi, Dad. But yeah, look, the Manly game is a really interesting one, because their fans consider us a bogey team. We did beat them last year at Brookvale. I don't think we played them at home, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, that they have won. Was it 14-12 in their favour, did you say?
So we've won 12 and they've won 14, you're correct, yep.
Yeah, so basically that's close enough to a 50-50 record there, which we don't have against a great deal of teams, especially with our history, which tells you a lot, the fact that we know how to beat this team. Now, look, I look at this team, and I look at Cherry Evans, and I remember when he shushed us as a crowd after he did what he did, which is disgusting. Like, it was disgraceful after what you did to shush us. Obviously... we have the Desi Hasler situation that most Manly fans actually, I don't mind Manly fans this year. They're actually supporting us with Desi. Manly fans don't have a problem with Desi. It's the organisation. And we could go on for days about why what happened there was just superbly wrong, but we won't. And then there's another name here that I bring up that I have that I brought up before, and that's Matthew Lodge. And I remember the Warriors game from 2021 at Seabus Stadium when we beat him 44-0 and absolutely flogged this cat. And I remember him putting the finger up at our fans, and I remember him abusing our fans and abusing our players. And I would love nothing more than to see the tackling technique and style that we've been doing this year. Because Desi Hasler has obviously instilled in them, no one can tell me I'm wrong here, where they absolutely drive him, man. There's a great, massive tackle that gets made every probably 10 to 15 minutes or so in the game, where it's just a pile driver and everyone goes up and they're just like, yes, we got into him. And I want to see a Jimmy Jolliffe absolutely whack Matt Lodge, or I want to see Mikey Fodawaker do the same thing. I want to see somebody do it, because I will never forget the way that he treated us in 2021 when we flogged him, right? And he was alongside his mate in Kane Evans. So there is a bit of passion in this one. There is a bit of revenge in this one. And although it may not be directly because of Manly with the Matthew Lodge incident, there has been incidents with Manly throughout our history. So, I'm pumped up for it. Hopefully we can slap up the Hello Sport boys.
Yes, hopefully we can. Look, I've actually got an interesting stat I saw from Random Stats Guy. I think it was only 2 times in NRL history has a side that is winless coming into round 7 not won. And there was like multiple examples of sides that in round 7 they broke their curse. Only 2 times in history has a side not done it. And I don't think we're going to be the third. I really hope we can get the win here. But look, we did play Manly once last year. It was a 16-point win. And it was at a time realistically where our club was under adversity. You know, we'd had another second half comeback that really stunk. Prior to that, we go back to round 22 in 2022, and we also won at home by 20 points. So we've won our last 2 over Manly there.
That's the game I really got into Josh Schuster. That's the game I really got into Josh Schuster and made him knock on twice and forward pass twice right in front of me. Keep going. It's just a very funny memory.
Fortunately for Josh, he won't be there to get his revenge this week, or try to get his revenge, that is. Stats as far as 2024 are concerned are pretty ugly for this game, with Manly preferred in almost every area. But a question mark for our team would have to come over our gas tanks, given we did play a really hard 90 minutes last week. I do remember last year, there was games where we were unlucky back-to-back in the Dolphins and the Eels, and then we came back at home against the Roosters, and we completely slacked off in that first half. I thought the side looked mentally checked out from bad decisions leading into that game. It was then proven. But I will say that was a much later point in the season. I think we're talking rounds 18 to 20 there. We're still early in this season. So whilst I acknowledge it is a chance of repeating itself, I think it's a smaller chance than what we saw last year. I mean, look, people don't expect us to win here. People will not submit us for their tips to win here. The bookies do not think we'll win here. The stats say we do not win here. But if the same effort from last week is there again, and we give ourselves an opportunity, and we compete for the full 80 minutes, that's the main thing. And I would love nothing more than for Kieran Foran and Desi Hasler, for the club that got rid of him and didn't want him, to get some revenge over someone like DCE who backflipped on us, and as you said, Matt Lodge, who's give it to our crowd before. So I would love to see an outcome where we win in this one. What's your main key to victory? What's something you really want to see or think that we need to see for us to get the win?
We just need to see the exact same, and I was going to repeat what you've just said, and I said this earlier. When we played the Cowboys, we improved. We lost by 13. When we played the Raiders, we improved, and we controversially lost by 1, and everyone says that we've deserved that win. Now we're going to Manly at home, and we're classified as their bogey team. We know how to beat them, and we're going up. There's just so many things in our favour, not in regards to like the on-field results and whatnot, but outside of the on-field results, there are a lot of things that are actually kind of piling up here in our favour. The stat you gave from Random Stats Guy, the Desi Hasler effect, the fact that Cherry Evans thing going up against Fozza. But Cherry Evans has been great this year. We'll give him his credit. He's actually probably one of the more underrated players of the last couple of years, which is ridiculous to mine. But I don't care about him, and I don't care about Manly at the end of the day. I care about our boys putting in the exact same shift and the exact same effort that we saw in Canberra. There is no excuses. I do not care about, we were tired or we felt rough after last week. I'm sorry, but when your team is winless and these guys know that I'm there every week for them, right? But I'm definitely saying, as fans, we do have a right to say we don't care about excuses at this point. Win this game. Just go out and win this game, because we have the talent to do it. We really should be doing it. Maybe not should be doing it, but we should be showing what we did against Canberra. So it's about putting in the consistency on those foundations that we saw in that Raiders game. So the key to victory here is literally just consistency for the first time in probably 17 years.
No, I love that. The consistency to build the foundation, right? Because if you're up and down one week, it's hard for us fans to get excited and get a read, because we've seen that from Titans' side in the past. We would rather see a side compete for 90 minutes and, come up with ill discipline or errors like we did against the Raiders than we would, be up 1 week, down 1 week, because at least we're consistent at that level. And over a season, that's going to be better for us. So I love that key to victory. Mine's a pretty simple one, but it's definitely easier said than done. I think we need to contain DC and Turbo and limit the amount of time they have to effectively attack together.
Turbo loves going off against us, bro.
I know.
I'll just quickly go over a couple of stats about Tommy Turbo against us. The game we just spoke about, 42-34 or whatever in Manly, the one that from the blast in the past, bang, he absolutely crushed 3 tries. Then you've got the game in 2021 where we were going to that game as the favourites. Manly were awful that year. Absolutely awful to start. And then that was in Mudgee. I was out there with Rhonda at Mudgee. And he absolutely tore us up in his return game. And they won 36-0. Later on in that season, we played at Seabus. We were up, I think, 24-10 at half-time. And then guess who was the one who turned the whole game around? It was Tom Trbojevic. And they won like 56-28 or 56-32 or something ridiculous. And then you've obviously got games in between where he just always turns up against us. So you're absolutely spot on in regards to Tom.
We need to shut him down. There are so many big games he's had against us in the past. But what is one thing we have this time we didn't have in the past? Desi Hasler. He's coached Tom Trbojevic more times than anyone else in the NRL. The man that's watched Tom Trbojevic play since he was a 16-year-old in Harold Mats. He knows Tommy like the back of his hand.
Also knows
and
chess.
He would have... Yes. Yeah, I was spot on. I wasn't even considering that. Narrowed in there. But no, you're right. Desi knows these players, and he knows these big players, and he's come up with so many game plans over the last number of years to put those players in the right position, that I believe Des is smart enough that he can reverse that, flip the script, and use that in our favor this time to shut those players down. So that's my key to victory. Back what the coach says. Go at it 100%, boys, and we believe that we can walk away here with a win. Alrighty. Do you want to give an official prediction, or should we go straight to the front line?
Well, I'll give you my prediction. I'm pretty happy with what I saw against Canberra, and I'm going to tip us. If we lose this game, I'll tip the Warriors. I will tell you. I promise you guys. If we lose this game, I will tip the Warriors because we're over there in New Zealand next week. But if I honestly, I feel something in me right now. I had that feeling against Canberra, and nobody can tell me that I was wrong for my prediction last week in regards to saying I feel like we can win this game and I'm going to tip us. Because one, it was controversial, and also two, we were well and truly in that. We went to extra time, right? Despite a whole heap of things happening with our team. So I'm pretty confident that I'm happy with my prediction from last week. And I just got something. I've just got something that things are starting to click. Taking the Titans.
Yeah, I'll take this as well. I think if you had a gun to my head and I had to make a prediction, I'd play it safe and go Manly. But I've seen enough in that Raiders game. I know enough about our coach and his history with Manly that I do believe this is a winnable game for us. And if I have to tip someone, I feel comfortable saying that we can win this one.
The Hello Sport Boys, when I saw their reaction to finding out they're playing us at 5:30, they hate that time slot. So Manly fans are actually worried right now, and it's crazy. Again, we haven't won a game so far this season, but Manly fans are nervous. They're like, I can't say because they swear a lot on their podcast, but they were pretty they were pretty nervous about this game, man. So it's good to see that Manly fans are a little bit concerned.
Yeah, well, I mean, they know Desi has looked better than most people.
They know him better than us.
Yeah, to be fair, they do. They certainly do. As a player and a coach, they're winning 2 premierships and another grand final with the club, I believe. So they know him well. They're worried. Good signs for us. Go the Titans. Alrighty, guys. Time for our new segment for the first time ever. Let me tap this Nokia ringtone 1994 video from YouTube. Let me hit replay. It is time to phone the front line. Let us open up our inbox and see what is in there for us. We will listen to your take off camera. We will play your take for the podcast and edit it in so everyone else can see it. And then we will give our reaction. Before we get into the voice messages that you lovely people have left for us, if you do want to get involved in this segment and share a take with us, ask us a question, or tell Blaze he's ugly, you can do so via www.speakpipe.com/Titans Frontline Podcast. You can do that anonymously or leave your name for a shout out on the pod.
And it's in the description.
And it is in this show description.
Yes. So, and also, guys, just remember that I'm not the one who has the meme about me being really sad at Canberra. So if you want to insult Clarkey for his ugly head, go for it.
I actually wasn't sad. People took it out of context and thought that was at the end of the game. But if you actually look, my fist is in the air. So I saw we were going to drag the Raiders player out already. So I just put my fist in the air and
okay.
Whereas you guys were all like, yes, but I could see it happening.
Yeah. Mate, you're a magician. You're a magician.
Alrighty.
We'll go Sam Jenkinson, the first one.
So I guess this is the second time for submitting because Clarkey can't get it right. I mean, lucky Blazers there to carry the podcast. But anyways,
cool.
Question for you guys. What fella are you looking most forward to for debuting for the club or debuting in NRL since Jozzy was debuting last week against the Cowboys?
Great question there from Sam. Great bloke. Can't agree with what he said about the podcast. Depends how far back we want to go. If we want to go to juniors, we've got coming through. Jalen de Groot was someone that really impressed me in the trials. Unfortunately for Jalen, we are loaded in fullbacks at the moment.
And wingers.
And wingers, yeah. But a more likely option that I believe we'll see debut soon that I'm excited for is Tony Francis.
Absolutely.
A lot of similarities between his Queensland Cup season last year and Alofiana Khan-Pereira's the season prior to that, where they're both prolific try scorers for the Bears. And I think Tony Francis probably offers a little bit more of a stronger, earlier hit-up than Loffy. I think Loffy has more speed and X-factor. So they both have different strengths to their game, but I'm really excited when Tony finally gets his chance for us, as I thought he deserved it last year. Unfortunately, it just didn't open up for him. So I'll lock in Tony Francis for my short-term and long-term Jalen de Groot.
Yeah, I like that. I think that my big one will 100% be Tony Francis. I think that we're all pretty excited for what he can do. If you watch the HostPlus Cup and whatnot, he is just an absolute baller. He topped the tries for Burleigh Bears last year when he was with them as our feeder club. And Tony Francis is a guy that is knocking on the door right now. And I don't think that necessarily our second winger right now is necessarily locked off with Jojo, and I could see that Tony Francis, if he keeps knocking on the door, he could come in there. He could really come in there and get his opportunity. So yeah, I think Tony Francis is a big body who does know how to get up high and does know how to score tries, and I would love that, considering that Loffy and Tony Francis were both the wingers of the Burleigh Bears last year in their huge run to the finals. So Tony Francis would definitely be my answer. Long term, yeah, look, obviously Jalen de Groot is fantastic, and we definitely want to see more out of Jalen de Groot. Let me just go back in here into our game this weekend to go through and pick out a player. Long term, Luke Burton did very well for us in the preseason, but I'm going to go and say Oscar Bryant. I knew
you were going to say that.
Yeah, well, look, I'm a magician just like you, son. But yeah, Oscar Bryant, he's a hooker that we obviously... he's more of an attacking hooker, right? And that's kind of what we would like right about now, even though we've got Sammy Verrills, we've got Chrissy Randall. Sam is starting to come out of his skin. He is starting to really show himself again without that injury, and really excited. But I would say, yeah, possibly Oscar Bryant.
What about Slap?
Let's go... no, okay, you will listen to Slapper, okay?
Is that going to be muted during the podcast? Or are you just going to have to cut that and have this reaction from Slap?
Oh, this is all going in. We'll beep it. Well, you guys won't know what we got sent. But Slapper... I can't wait
comment on that one.
I can't wait to see your face back when I edit this. That's that was something that we're not going to be putting in the podcast, guys. It wasn't hate or anything like that. It was interesting, is what we'll say. It was.
That's one word for it. I'd say it was R18 plus. That's for sure.
Yeah, you can find it on Clarkey's OnlyFans. You can find that on Clarkey's OnlyFans. All right, I reckon we listen to Adzi Big Daddy D. I reckon we listen to Adzi Big Daddy D.
Boys. Adzi here, your weekly comedy critic. Well, what can I say? It has been an interesting start to the season. We've had some dazzling highs and some devastating lows. Clarkey, you've made me ride an absolute emotional roller coaster in terms of your comedy. Started off with an absolute bang. I did tell Blaze I was slightly disappointed with the recycled comedy the week after. However, really need to let you know that the triple barrel pun that I just listened to of Nordic mythology references in regards to the Canberra Raiders game, all I can say is...
He's clapping.
Bravo.
Yeah,
I look forward to the rest of this year. Can't wait to see what you've got in store for me in the coming weeks. And I mean, if this is where we're at after round 6, I can't wait until grand final day.
Oh.
Good luck against the Raiders this week, boys. Unfortunately, I haven't tipped you, but I am in your corner because us Queensland teams need to stick together, even if Blaze does rag on my beloved Broncos from time to time. Love you, lads. See yous.
And I will never stop, Adam. I will never stop Adzi Big Daddy D. Don't you worry. The Broncos, I will... You wait till we have our podcast with the Broncos in a couple of weeks. You wait, but Clarkey, you can respond to this one.
Look, I can confirm that the cringe puns will continue. I've received thousands of messages, people saying they love it. Thousands, literally.
I reckon. Well, there's. I think we've got. We've gone for an hour and 15. I reckon we can do it within an hour and 20. So or hour and 25, right? I reckon we can do a couple more.
Yeah, mate. Let's go.
Because I reckon,
frontline, baby.
Yeah, I reckon there's a few here that will actually be asking us some pretty serious questions. Sam was a good one. Slap, maybe not so much. And that's your Big Day D. We welcome you, mate. We welcome you. We'll get you in a Titans jersey in the front line sometime soon. I think that we will go to... Also, guys, just to reiterate, if we don't get to your voice message, if it's relevant next week, we'll try and get to it. But at the end of the day, keep sending them in because we really do appreciate you. But there is a lot here, and we're sorry that we had the slapper one that got added in. I reckon we'll listen to Casey Kelly, who has sent one in here. Clarkey, you ready?
Ready to go.
As a Titans fan, where do you see the halves in the next 2 or 3 years going? And who would you like to see lead the Titans halves in the next 3 to 5 years? Especially after Kieran goes.
That's a solid question, man. Like, I'll be honest, that's a really difficult question. Do you want to go first?
Well, I think AJ Brimson has to stay at 6, right? From that point, it's either about identifying a great young halfback we have coming through, or going to the market, or maybe Tanner or Tommy Weaver rediscover that form. So I think what AJ really needs next to him to be a dominant 5'8" is a game-controlling half, right? How many of those are realistically available on the market, though? Like, Aiden Caesar will be too old, as would Ben Hunt. Sam Walker wouldn't leave the Roosters. Lachlan Ilias isn't the right answer. Nathan Cleary we wouldn't get. Mitchell Moses isn't the right answer. Chad Townsend will be gone by then. Sean Johnson will be retired, as would Adam Reynolds. Jamal Fogarty isn't the answer. Drew Hutchinson, he definitely ain't the answer. Nico Hines signed long-term to the Sharks. Daly Cherry-Evans will be retired. Jerome Hughes wouldn't return, you wouldn't think. Jackson Hastings would probably be towards the end of his career there. It's
Are you looking at the zero tackle as well?
No, I've just got NRL Universe up, and I'm just got all the teams up.
Well, what I'll say is I definitely agree with you in regards to AJ Brimson being the 6. I think that at this point, what I said a couple of podcasts ago, I did say that if we move him into the halves, he has to stay there, because otherwise we're just moving him back and forth all over the place, and he just does not get any consistency in the position that he's in. So I think that a 5'8" should be locked down as AJ Brimson until the end of his career, is what I'll say there. In regards to a halfback, the guys that are off contract, I believe, from 2025 onwards, so arguably you can get them a year early, but at the end of the day, these are the guys. So halfback-wise, you got Jake Arthur, Daniel Atkinson from the Sharks, Tanner Boyd, Daly Cherry-Evans, Tom Duffy, Kyle Flanagan, Jackson Hastings, Bailey Hayward, Ben Hunt, Drew Hudson, Lachlan Ilias, Sean O'Sullivan, Jonah Pezzett, Adam Reynolds, Brad Schneider, Aiden Caesar, Blake Taff, Braden Trindle, and Sam Walker. And for the purpose of this, I'll also put in the 5'8" of Stanley Hewen, Luke Keary, Tamati Martin, Tristan Saylor, Jamin Salmon, and Cody Walker. I don't think that there is a phenomenal amount of options there that necessarily... Yeah, well, that's the one... Mate, listen, I'm getting to it, mate.
Sorry to cut you off.
He's just absolutely snaked me on my response there. He snaked me. I would say that Sam Walker would probably be the best option there. Maybe you'd move down to a Jonah Pezzett, who's obviously been on the radar, but he's also still in a very similar position. And this is what my point was. None of those really drastically change the situation that we have in regards to Tanner Boyd and also Tommy Weaver. And I will also say, in regards to Sam Walker, is that Luke Keary's also off contract at the exact same time. I don't see the Roosters saying, you know what, I'm happy to lose both of our halves here. Because Keary, he's getting on now. They do have Sandon Smith, is it? Sandon Smith, who plays as the 5'8" there, they'll probably come in. And Sam Walker is a guy that they still believe is going to play Origin for Queensland. So, like, yes, he would be the one that I would look to be, if I could go for someone there, or maybe a Braden Trindle, but also I don't see Trindle being a leading halfback, man. I think that's a big problem that the Sharkies have right now. So, yeah, those are the 3 guys you would look at in Sam Walker, Jonah Pezzett, and Braden Trindle, because, yes, look, at the moment, Tanner Boyd's been dropped. So I find it very difficult to see him coming back in and changing drastically, but I would love to see it. And I also... I don't know about Tommy Weaver just yet, so if there's that option, fine, but I'm not too convinced in it. So if we did go to the market, my top 3 in order would be Sam Walker. Number 2 would probably be Jonah Pezzett. No, number 2 would probably be actually Braden Trindle. Number 3 would be Jonah Pezzett.
I would agree with that order, but if I was in charge and I had the option to sign all 3 realistically, the only one I'd be interested in probably is Sam Walker. What I would say to him is, hey, mate, come back to Queensland where you're closer with family. But here's the risk, mate. We would have to offer him to get him from the Roosters $1 million plus deal.
Yeah.
We've offered halfbacks $1 million plus deals on potential in the past. I suppose he's past potential. That's probably not fair to say.
Yeah,
Sam,
and they've backflipped, yeah.
They're backflipped, or they haven't quite performed to $1 million standard.
Well, look who's off Daly Cherry Evans off contract. We want to partner him next year with foreign of the Titans, two aging halves who've won a premiership together 13, 14 years ago. But no, I'm just joking, guys. But yeah, I think that those... I think, yeah, you're right, Sam Walker. But with that being said, Braden Trindle plays Indigenous versus Māori in the Indigenous game as the halfback alongside Nico Hines in the 5'8". No, Trindle plays as the 6, doesn't he?
6.
Yeah,
6 and 7.
But I see him, obviously, more as a halfback. So there is that option. But yes, I agree that Sam Walker would be realistically the number one target there if we were to go for that. But this is all just pure speculation, guys. We're just responding to the question. We're not saying anything that is locked in by any means. We are just saying based off of what our opinion could possibly be. But there we go. I think, yeah, we've been going for an hour and 23 minutes now. We do have other ones from you guys. We will keep them inside the speak pipe, guys. So if you have new voice messages to send us for next week, please do.
What you want to do is after the Manly game, if you've got a reaction to that game, send it in. And then once team lists drop and you know what our team list is for next week, send in a speak pipe as well. So that's the two ways you get about that. Like if you want to give a pre-game prediction to the Seagulls, probably not going to be relevant by the time we return, by the time we record the following week. But by all means, when the Seagulls game finishes, if you notice something or you want to get in with something, please do. So I can steal it and add it to my notes and not give you any credit. Not joking, but please do send it in. And then similarly, once team lists come out, if you want to have you say on the team lists and say you thought X or XYZ player should have been selected instead, or you believe we're going to win by 50 this week, please do. Like, please. Simple as that.
Simple as that.
You know what? Thank you so much, Titans fans, for sticking with this club. We are now 6 wins in. We still don't have a win on the board, unfortunately.
6 wins in, apparently.
I wish it was 6 wins in. We are 6 games in, and we don't have a win on the board. But our community spirit is still strong, regardless of the results. We're still getting great numbers on this podcast. It's growing every week. And as a community, we stick together, and we just keep turning up. That's all we can do. We just keep turning up, being there for each other. But
and
this
we're
week,
not last.
We're not. Let's show the Seagulls this week how talented we are and hit them with a beak-a-boo as surprise underdogs. I really want to see us ruffle their feathers. No high flies for our opposition this week, Titans. Only joking. I'd make a few more puns to finish this episode, but I don't want to wing it.
Oh my goodness me. Oh my goodness me. This is what we've come to. We're definitely ending the podcast here, guys. We appreciate you. Obviously, smack that thumbs up button. Subscribe if you're new around here. Leave us a rating on Spotify and Apple. We appreciate you. And, geez, you know, this is, man, we have to put up with this bloke every single week giving us these puns. Let's just win, please. Can we win? That's all I'm asking for. Just win the game. We just want to win. We want to slap them down. We want to grab the bird. And we want to throw it in the burly heads. Don't contact me, Peter. I haven't said anything real. I'm just talking about the Manly Seagull logo. Throw it in the water, son, and let it sink. But there we go, guys. We appreciate you. Much love. God bless. See you guys next week. See you on the streams this week. And see you at Seabus Super Stadium as we slap Manly, son. Booshka. Booshka. Booshka.